During the recent 2011 Colorado Real Estate and Economic Summit, the governor of Colorado, John Hickenlooper, mentioned the importance of Colorado's active outdoor lifestyle. Have a listen.
I want to give special thanks to Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage, and your sponsorship for the Denver Century Ride is terrific. Obviously, I'm a serious bicyclist myself, and I think it's part of what Colorado is and part of what separates us and defines us differently from a lot of other places in the country. We're already hard at work trying to figure out, with the Quiznos challenge, it's going to be, professional competitive bike racing coming back to Colorado. With your guys, the Century Ride and all these other events, we are just further defining Colorado as a place that is outdoors, it's active, it's a real healthy lifestyle, which is part of what we're out there trying to market and brand the state as. I don't know if you guys all saw that part a few weeks ago. CNN recently ranked Colorado as the third smartest state. I would argue that's because of all the bike riding. We've had a great relationship with both Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate. Colorado becomes a place where we really put an emphasis on good management in state government, that we're going to run it right. And it becomes a place where we are a magnet to young entrepreneurs. We make sure there's access to capital, that we have mentors, that we really care about making sure that our businesses succeed. And you guys are all going to be a big part of that. So you're all deputized. Get to work. And certainly, I recognize as much as anybody that we're never going to attract businesses here. We're never going to make this a place that's known for entrepreneurs and a place to raise a family and build a business if we don't have a superior education system. But in the end, our education, in the state budget, public K-12 education is 42% of the budget, and we had cut literally everything else. And when you get down to it, when it's that big a part of your budget, and you've got a 12–14% deficit hole to fill, you don't have a lot of choices. My commitment to you is, as we are going to go out and try and reinvigorate this economy every way we can and rebrand the state. And as we do that, as revenue comes back, we will pour it back into schools. And there's some hope that we can, as we do that, push Colorado further down the public school reform path. I just came back from Washington, the National Governors Association last weekend. We are recognized. I spent an hour and a half with Bill Gates and three other governors and his chief of staff. He views Colorado as a single leading state in terms of public school reform. Right? How do we really begin getting our kids the education they deserve? I think in a year or two, when revenues begin to come back and we put more resources into our public education, by that time we'll have evolved and created a platform where we really can begin to solve and address some of the issues around our public education.
Furthermore, the governor went on to talk about jobs and his bottom-up economic development plan. Let's have a listen.
Despite all the turbulence in the residential real estate market, we are beginning to see that turn around. We're beginning to see stability. We are seeing Colorado as a job growth state as tough as it was over this decade, the past decade from 2000 to 2010. Colorado ranked 14th in the country in terms of job growth, as difficult as we had it. And when you look at as a market for investors, Forbes recently ranked us 8th most attractive. Denver's 8th most attractive. Colorado Springs is the 6th most attractive. And that's where you begin to see a firming of prices and a strengthening of markets. One thing that we are working hard on is to deal honestly and directly with the state's budget. You all know this, and this is, I think, and I really believe this, over the next couple of years, certain states are going to distinguish themselves by the way they address the issues around the budget. Because it's not just us, it's everywhere, right? This is the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s. And there's no question, when we first, there was a little recession after 9/11. At that point, the state had probably 14 or 15%. If you included all the reserve funds for the different agencies, for fleet vehicles, for maintenance of buildings, all the different agencies had their own reserve, probably had a 14 or a 15% reserve. Now we're down to a 2% reserve, right? We're trying in our budget trying to get up to a 4% reserve. Even a 4% reserve is 2 weeks operating capital, right? Which among you, who is going to try and run an enterprise when you've got operating capital of 2 weeks? It doesn't prepare you for any kind of natural disaster, anything unforeseen. It means you are constantly reacting to any downturn in revenues. Anytime you have any kind of ripple in your expectations, everybody's got to start addressing and moving around. You're always reacting, so you don't have a chance to have your managers of the different agencies create a strategy, really lay out a plan, and then implement it.
Coming up, we'll hear from the mayor of Denver, Bill Vidal. But first, a few more remarkable properties marketed by Colorado's finest realtors and Caldwell Banker.